Thank you for the invitation. Now, my name is Gaby, and today I and my colleague Andrea will tell you more about what we do in Holland to support people with a disability. What are your dreams? And let them grow. One of our sentences that makes that makes sense how we live and how we look at people who need support. That's why I want to ask you a question. How many of you know someone with a disability? Think about it. Not your client, but someone in your family, maybe your neighbor, maybe your friend. And how do you look at those people? Is it your client or is it the person? Today I want to discuss with you how we can achieve a dream to have a healthcare system without institutions. This is Dr. Pameijer. Pameijer is the founder of our organization. Pameijer believes that people with a disability have the right to have a normal life. They should be able to participate in the community as much as possible. So everything we do as the organization, we want to achieve this goal. And Pameijer defined this goal back to 1926. So then he already was busy with integrating people in the society, and not in rural areas, in forests, but just in the community and support people. Let me introduce you to some of my clients. They can tell how we support them.
You would like to have a life in which your daily routine feels natural. Do the housekeeping, manage your finances, grow up in a family, go and live on your own for the first time, or live independently in your own neighborhood. Be in contact with the people around you and participate in local activities, or work and travel by public transport. Pameijer is there for everyone who has difficulties keeping up with society. For example, people with an intellectual disability or psychiatric and psychosocial problems. We are also there for relatives, friends and neighbors. We will meet your needs and help you on your way to setting up house, working and growing up. You are going to use your own strengths and talents as much as possible. What are the things that you can do yourself? When do you need help? In this way, we can offer the support that suits you best. At home or at work, nearby or at a distance. It can be a chat with your coach through internet, a training or a workshop, or a digital tool. As much as possible with the dedication of family, friends or neighbors. Together, we make clear agreements before and during the support. You will be in charge. This is how you gain control of your own life, stand strong, and be meaningful to other people. Find out more on pameijer.nl.
So, as shown in the movie, and as I said before, we use the own strength of people. We use their talents, and we look at what they can do. So for strength, I mean their talents and what are they good in to do. That people make their own decisions, accept that sometimes things can go wrong, just like everybody else. Learning by doing. We call it dignity by risk. Respecting each individual autonomy and self-determination to make their own choices. Temporary means agreements of objectives. What do they want to achieve? And how can we support them with achieve this? Besides of the vision of Pameijer, we also have some stages in the social domain, like the decentralization of some tasks. And we have the bed-based services to integrate mental health services and community-based services. And this is almost, I think it fits perfectly to the story we heard before of the presentation of Pameijer, because we are looking how can we see people and how can we integrate them and see them as citizen and not as as someone with a disability. And that's why I want to introduce you to Peter. Home, relations, work and support are the basic elements of life. Everyone needs these things. Everyone has these things. I think that everyone has a home. Want to have a relation, think about friends, family, have work, and need support. With support I mean go to the dentist, see maybe sometimes the hospital or your doctor. When people have a disability, the whole thing will focus on the support. The relation become less. Sometimes they don't have a home anymore, or the home is settled by the organization, and they don't have work. And at Pameijer, we want to find a solution. We want to change the home, so someone can have their own home, can choose where they live, can have a relation, have friends, have family, and we want to strengthen them by searching for a job in a normal organization where they can have their own colleagues and do something for someone else. And to show how this process works, I want to introduce you to Clarissa. And Clarissa is one of my colleagues, and she learned from what is wrong to what is strong. She's an expert from experience.
Bizarre how fast your life can change. One day I was serving medication for the clients I worked for. The next day, I myself received medication from those exact same blue pill boxes. I worked as a caregiver for a couple of years until I was committed to a psychiatric hospital for a year and a half in 2003. This had a huge impact on my life. During my stay, I was confronted with shocked family members and friends who distanced themselves from me. I tried to discuss this with the psychiatrist, but all talks were led back to symptoms and my diagnosis. I often felt misunderstood, being treated as a disease instead of as a human. When I was discharged, I felt determined to get my life back, so I decided to get back to work. I loved it, but there were several problems that led to me being fired. A month later, I was told I would never be able to work again. I was 27. Shocked by this turning point in my life, I isolated myself. I lost contact with the few people I had left and only spoke with people through the internet. Losing my job had major consequences. I could no longer pay my bills, and the bailiff visits caused panic attacks that controlled my entire day. Fortunately, I had a caregiver who was okay with me keeping contact through email, as I was often too anxious to leave my house for an appointment. When in 2008 I lost my house, I decided to contact Pameijer for a housing program. I wanted to know what Pameijer would find out about me, so I asked for my patient files. I read the following sentence. Miss Silva has got a lot of faith in her own abilities, but it is unlikely she will be able to follow through. This sentence unleashed so many emotions. Anger that this was written about me. Grief that no one bothered to help me boost the little confidence I had left. And despair, as I realized that this confidence was now completely gone. Frustrated about all of this, I had my interview with the caregiver of Pameijer. To my surprise, he wanted to know how the past years had been for me. He listened carefully and showed a lot of understanding and respect. He made me feel truly heard. He introduced me to the empowerment project of Pameijer, and there I heard peers talking about recovery and how they had managed to build their lives back up. In the 7 years I had been dwelling within the walls of psychiatry, I had never heard of this word, recovery. I felt a renewed sense of hope and determination and joined the team as a volunteer immediately. The team gives workshops on recovery and on how to find your strengths again, with your recovery story as a crucial element. I wrote my first recovery story, and while I was writing it, I realized that I had more than enough tools to help myself. I just wasn't always using them due to my lack of confidence. I started working with the team of the housing program, and together we looked at which tools I could use to rearrange my life. I was often scared to follow through, because I identified my feelings as symptoms. My supporters helped me to look at this from a different point of view by sharing their own life experiences with me. In the meanwhile, I was a volunteer for the Empowerment Project 3 days a week. I took the course Working with Your Own Experiences, and I started giving workshops. I loved doing this, but it wasn't easy. After communicating through the internet for almost 3 years, all of a sudden I was standing in the spotlight while I still felt like I was living in the dark, with the light within reach, but how to get there? My panic attacks got worse, and this time I decided to do something about it by following courses. One day I saw this quote: "Courage is being afraid and doing it anyway." This became my new motto, and I started to grab every opportunity that crossed my path, scared to death, but doing it. In December 2010, a job position for a peer supporter came out to join the Empowerment Project. I hesitated to apply. After all, I was told by a doctor I couldn't work. I eventually came to a life-changing conclusion. Do I want to keep pausing my life because I'm scared that I will have another psychosis? Absolutely not. I want to have the kind of life where I can grow, the kind of life that makes me happy. I applied, and I got the job. The Empowerment Project has expanded to the entire organization. Working with the Empowerment Vision means to change the focus of your life to your strengths instead of your weaknesses, to do the things that give you energy. Amplifying your qualities to face problems and make the connection with others to get a powerful network of people who share the same vision. There is only one way to make that connection: equality. For the last 2 years, I have worked with supporters who are my allies, thinking with me, but always leaving me in control, even in times of crisis. By sharing our life experiences, we inspire each other, and the cooperation becomes a learning process for both parties. I am glad that Pameijer wants a shift within the organization where supporters and clients actively search for what they can do for each other, embracing the client as a member of the team. I often think back of the sentence, "Ms. Silva has a lot of faith in her own abilities, but it is unlikely she will be able to follow through." I hope that my story shows that the key to recovery is to move the focus to qualities instead of symptoms, to go from what's wrong to what is strong. When you're in a psychiatric hospital, your whole life is upside down. It is so important that this also gets addressed during your stay, being supported by caregivers who look at your skills to help you recover. When I look at how I have grown these last 2 years, from being someone who used to isolate herself, to becoming someone who grabs every chance she gets to share her knowledge about recovery, I couldn't have done that without the people who believed in me and became my ally, who treat me like an equal, which allows me to open up so the caregiver and I can get to the core of the problem that much quicker. I am convinced and a living example that an equal relationship between caregiver and client speeds up the recovery process. When I give workshops, I regularly meet people who have doubts whether or not people with a long-term psychiatric disability can recover. I think that the fact that someone whose life evolved around fear and anxiety for over 7 years now stands before you, an audience of 1,000 people, telling her story, shows that the possibilities for recovery are infinite. Thank you.
What are their talents? And if we go back to this one, if we listen to Clarissa, the whole life she lived in a psychiatric hospital, and that was the only support. That was 24 hours a day. She didn't have work. She didn't have her own home. And after someone saw her skills, gave her the confidence, and she got to work. She works at Pameijer, and she gives training to people. And she has her own home again, and have a relationship, people nearby. Not only Clarissa is one of our examples, but we have many more. And how we help those people, or support those people, is in a community-supported network. That's, like it said before, keyring. And we call it in Dutch buurtcirkel. A community-supported network is nothing more, nothing less than just a neighborhood where people live. So we support people in their own houses. And like you can see here, it can be in an apartment or in a house, but not in the big house where everyone lives together. You can choose your own house. You rent your own house. Let me see. What's our community-supported networks? These networks are people live here together, and together they will define the supported network. And crucial is the connection between those people. They're all people with disabilities, and live in their own home in the neighborhood. And we don't call them clients or patients, but we call them members. All the members have an active role. They are not a consumer, but they are a participant. So they help each other. And there is a volunteer who encourages the system. So when we build these supported networks, we look at people. What can they do? How can they help other people? And what do they need to help other people? The volunteer helps each member to realize the full potential by using the talent. And the volunteer and members provide practical help to each other, like paying bills, organize appointments. And there is also a professional who coached the worker, the volunteer. So as I said before, members get their own houses and apartments, and they are not living in facilities anymore. And because they can help each other, there is a relative low support option. So it's already based on the recovery support care. The history. Keyring is an organization in the UK, and they started with the community-supported networks back in the 90s. In 2012, Pameijer was inspired by the method and thought we can do the same thing. It's a method of supporting people to be a valued member of the society instead of a person with a disability who needs to be taken care of. First, Keyring focused on adults with learning disabilities, but since 2016, the memberships extended to other client groups. For example, people with high-level support and who used to live in 24-hour support environments. So it's very basic. It's just like a neighborhood. It can be your neighbor. They have their own house and they support each other. Like I said, 9 to 12 members living in their own homes. Peer support, just helping each other. There is a volunteer who also make the connection with the neighborhood. So otherwise you have a little network in a neighborhood, but it's also together with other people. In and with the community. And that's why people are getting less dependent on professional care. And that's not the goal. The goal is unlocking potential. The goal is the less professional help is a result of the method buurtcirkel of community-supported network. And because of the potential that get locked, people can improve. They can improve their own life, and they build their own network. They can work again, and have meaningful notes from themselves and for others. The quality of life gets improved. But how do we unlock the potentials? As I told before, it's very important to see that people have potentials and not only see their disabilities. And that's the support we offer, and any time and any way that suits the members. Because if you have frequent contact and help identify the potential problems, this helps to sustain the community living and reduces escalations and needs. And that can lead to increased demand for specialist service, hospital admission, and crime level of homelessness. Just because there is a network, and that's also what I forgot to tell, these members, these 9 to 12 members, they see each other once a week or once in 2 weeks, what they want, what they need. And they have their meetings, and the volunteer is also there to help the meetings and to arrange things and to see how things are going with people. Support in making your own choices and aspire for own ownership to the members. So the members are the owners of the community-supported network. When there is a new volunteer of a new support member, the members of the supported network will do the selection. They are the owners. Like I said, the members are the real experts. The members have the ownership. They build the network together. And that's the most important thing, I think. Because if we make the change to this kind of support, we have to realize what we do as a supporter, as a professional caregiver. What is the effect of doing a professional intervention, as it is important to do the intervention itself. Matching the members is also important. To have a good network, to have a network where people can help each other and can also ask their question to one each other, we have to see what their talents are and what are the skills from the other people. And they have their voice in the network. Development of buurtcirkel nowadays in Holland. Like I said, we started in 2013 by having 3 networks. Today we have around 20 networks in the Netherlands. Not only in Rotterdam, where Pameijer suits, but we also work with other organizations. And we develop a training course for support workers to how to build a network, because it's so simple, but need a lot of effort to find the good people, to have the, the mind shift to not taking care of, but let people do their own things, let people help each other, and do not always have the professional support within it. In Holland, many organizations are local, and local government are very interested in this product. And in the afternoon workshop, Andrea, she is one of the project managers of the Buurtcirkel in Holland. She can explain what we need to do to have a good community-supported network. Also, research has done, and this shows that there is improvement of quality of life. Members of the community-supported network do establish new and stronger social relations and networks. Members feel more valuable. Members have more meaningful and a valued social role. So when we look back at the 4 elements of life, the house, the social role, the work, and the support, and then you see that Buurtcirkel really has a good, shows that it supports the social network. Also, the research shows that it sustains abuse, an unhealthy lifestyle, and use medicines. It prevents homelessness, and it decreases professional care, and people get less dependent on professionals. From institution to inclusion, because that's the main goal of the community-supported networks. Being a citizen, and not being a patient or being a client, but have a social role, be a neighbor, do whatever you want to do. The members are the real and only experts. And we, as professionals, do not have limited expectations of the members. Believe that they have the talent and the skills, and be confident. People often far exceed what they and others thought they could achieve. Like Clarissa, when everyone said, no, you can't go, you don't have a job anymore, you can't work, you live in a hospital, and now she's one of my colleagues. People have more opportunities when they are involved in the local communities. And I think one sense is what's most important is that people are less patient and more human. And it increases the capability and the confidence. And how we do that is to have some methods, like the ABCD workshop. I don't know if you know this method, but the ABCD will help people to build a social network. The ABCD is the asset-based community developing method, and they learn, they learn to work with opportunities and the chances in the community. But also the recognize of the development talents. Therefore we have the method, the social role valorization. How can people gain more value social roles? So it's the community-supported networks are people who help each other, but they also learn by training and also learn by helping the volunteer to building their own network and to integrate in the community and to be an active citizen. And if we do that, you can see that there is less professional help. The workshop. Later on, during the workshop, we want to discuss with you, patients, clients, or members. the formula of the community-supported networks? What are the conditions? Which methods are used? So I said the ABCD method, the social role validation, the dignity of risk. Can people make their own decisions? And what do we need to do that? And what's the effect of the community-supported networks for the members in the local communities? And of course, if there are other questions, we can answer them also. So this is the story about the community-supported networks. Are there any questions? Yes.
Hey. Thank you very much, Gaby.